Hello everyone and welcome. We're back and today we're going to be continuing our playthrough as the Baltic Union. Last time we left off we were in a very dire situation. As you can see, things are not going too great. All the planning I put into place seems to have not helped whatsoever. But we're going to stick it out and we're going to get straight into it. So we're in a full-scale retreat at the moment. So what we're going to want to do is pull all of our troops back and just hold our capital. Now the reason for this is because without our capital we will capitulate. That is the last thing we can fall back to. We're kind of just waiting on the Germans to try and bail us out here. As you can see, they are starting to send some units over. If we look in terms of casualties, we've already lost 71,000 and the Soviets have already lost, about 10,000 to the other Axis members. So we're going to do our best. We have some political power to spend. I was actually saving it so we could get women in the workforce. So I think we'll just continue with that. We're going to leave construction repair on because we have a lot of repairs that need to be done. We're going to leave the fighters here and we're going to leave the guns here because we don't want to run out. And let's get started. We've actually been able to push out and gain this tile here, which was already ours at the start of the war, but we've pushed out a little bit. We're going to try and take this tile back here. I don't know how successful we're going to be. This tile is huge for us because it is an airport. So, it means without this, our fighters are going to have to station in an Axis airport. And our fighters aren't doing a lot at the moment, but it's better than nothing. So our front lines actually appear to, because of the German reinforcements, stabilized quite a lot. We're no longer being massively pushed in. So I think I'm actually going to cancel the retreat and start to push our men out a little bit. So we have a choice between giving this guy infantry expert or the ambusher. Now, ambusher actually fits us a lot better because it's defense, defense, defense. But I think we're actually going a little bit on the offensive, so it's actually a tough decision at the moment. I think overall, I'll go with the ambusher, just to play it safe. And then we have the same decision over here. So as you can see, both our generals are actually, they're only, 3 and 2, but they're getting up there. So for the most part, our line has now become steady. We're not losing we're not regularly losing any land anymore. This is pretty much where the lines ended up. We had to retreat quite significantly. I mean, we used to control all of this territory and we've just been pushed back all the way to here. You can see if we look at where our fort line is, this is, kind of where we fell to. Probably not a coincidence. We kept these tiles, and more specifically, we were able to hold on to these tiles down here just about. We were able to take our air force back, so even though we haven't got a huge air force, it is something. Someone in the comments did actually say that if you don't have enough factories to compete with your attacker, it's much more efficient to put anti-air units into your divisions rather than actually having fighters in the air, because having anti-air battalions in your divisions will impact their air superiority far more than, destroyed fighters in the air. So I think as soon as we get some of our factories back, we'll start working on anti-air, and those should help our divisions quite a lot. I think we might need to step up our conscription, because at the moment you can see we're 30,000 manpower, in the whole. And we're not going to be able to get any more manpower until all the way down, here. So that's a couple years worth of research right there, even if we do use the bonuses. So we might need to step up our conscription law once we have total mobilization. Playing as a country like Lithuania, like I said, you need all the manpower you can get. So we've gone ahead and adjusted our lines quite a lot. Instead of having 2 lines covering half of our front each, we've now got our Yellow Army covering the entirety of our front. And that's because with the Axis divisions that have now been put in our country, I don't think we're at risk of losing ground. So what we've then done is we've stationed half of our Blue Army here and half of our Blue Army here. The reason for that is because the goal is to push in here and push in from down here and encircle some of these divisions down here. If we can do that... Okay, I'm just wondering why there's a hole in my line here. Oh, I know why. So yeah, we're actually a little bit low on supply now. So some of our divisions aren't moving in. Again, because of the Axis, we should be fine. So anyway, if we can get an encirclement here, that's going to be a lot of Russian manpower that we're going to take out. So that's the goal. We might have to start importing some oil as well. But we do now actually have green air because the Soviets have pulled their fighters out, which is good because we were losing a lot of fighters. We can actually give them a little bit of command power as well. And then we'll leave green air here because it will help us push. And then when these guys are ready, we'll see if we can go for an encirclement. So they're not too successful at the moment. Ah, see, we're actually having to fight against our own forts now. Irony's kind of annoying. Well, it was a nice idea, but doesn't look possible at the moment. We're going to go ahead and research infantry offensive. I'm going to spend 100 army experience to get it a little bit quicker. Takes it from 273 to 159, so it saves about 100 days, a little bit over. That's pretty good. We're then going to go ahead and step up to total mobilization, and then we'll go ahead and we'll grab women in the workforce. So I've been holding it off as long as possible, but I think we are going to have to step up to service by requirement. Now, the reason I was holding it off is because when you do step up to service by requirement, you know, we're going to get negative, so we're going to lose 10% construction speed, 10% factory output, all of that stuff. And it isn't ideal, especially for a small nation like ours, having that additional, you know, not having those buffs when the bigger nations do is a big advantage. But, you know, we need to do as much damage to the Soviet Union as possible, and we're not going to get any more manpower for at least another 300 days. And then when we do get it, it's going to be 5%, and it's going to take forever to mobilize. Now, as it stands, we're currently about 40 to 50,000 manpower short from our current divisions, and then, you know, on top of that, we can't train any more divisions when we really need to. So I think we are going to have to go ahead and step it up to service by requirement. Not the end of the world, but certainly you want to hold off on it as long as possible so you don't get those debuffs. But I don't think we have much of a choice. So I've been trying to go for a little bit of an encirclement down here. I was able to push out and take this tile, and now I'm trying to take this tile here so we can circle 2 of their tanks. Problem is we're currently being attacked here, but once this attack is finished, then we should be able to close this pocket. So we have actually been able to go ahead and close the pocket. From what I've found, without green air, can't push at all. Right? When they put fighters over Lithuania, I can't push at all. It's pointless. But occasionally they're moving their fighters all around, and I think largely the Axis are moving planes in and out of our territory. So when we end up with green air, we can actually push, but without it, we really struggle. So we've gone ahead and we've encircled 2 tank divisions, 5 infantry, and 2 mountaineers, giving us 9 divisions in total. Not a huge amount, but, you know, better than nothing. I feel like the push I did was very costly as well. Yeah, so you can see the push here. This is all the same place. You know, 1.8, 3.9, 5.5, 7. This is how much I lost. So what's that? What? About 15, 16,000 men I lost to close this pocket. So hopefully it was worth it. So we do want to close this pocket as quickly as possible because I don't know how long I'm going to be able to hold it. We should be able to hold it indefinitely, but I don't want to run the risk of them escaping. So we're just going to kill them off as quickly as possible, even though that's not really the most efficient thing to do. One thing we are struggling with now as well is because the Axis has moved so many troops into our territory, we are really struggling for supply. So, yeah, I am starting to focus more on our infrastructure. I'm trying to build a couple ports and a little bit better infrastructure. Probably not going to have that much of effect, but it is better than nothing. So one thing you might not know is this province here is actually a Polish province at the start of the game, but we do actually have core territory on it for some reason. So hopefully we can get that. If the Germans take it, hopefully they'll give it to us. I don't see them doing it because they do like to not share, but it is actually core territory. So I wonder if Lithuania had it in the past. They must have had it during the Commonwealth or something. So the result from closing the pocket was about 80,000 Soviets. So, you know, overall, worth it from the cost that we took from the push. Hopefully those casualties went to us. Oh god, our war participation has already dropped to 9%. That's pretty bad. We're gonna have to work on that. Looks like we're about to oh no, we've done it. So we've taken the city of Wilno, which is great for us because this is actually a province that we didn't have at the start of the game, but we do have as a core state. We currently have 94% ownership over it. So if you look in our core population, it's gone up a little bit. I think it's hard to tell because we're missing, you know, half our core pop up here. We're also going to try and close off this pocket here. If we can do that, we'll encircle some divisions. So I think what we'll do is we'll take some of these guys. We can't because they're in an attack. Well, we're making small gains, small pushes. We're losing a lot of our war participation, so we're going to have to really start pumping out some divisions when we get them. But yeah, we are pushing out. It's just coming at a very high cost to our manpower. Still nothing if you look at the Hungarians, the Romanians, and the Germans. Considering we were in the war before they were, we haven't taken anything at all, but that's still a big price for us to pay. So at the moment, the Soviets are just doing what they're known for, and they're just human waving into my line. With the help of the Axis, we're under no threat of losing our line at this point. we're easily able to hold it. You can see here, they've just been launching and launching and launching new and new and new attacks, and we're easily able just to hold them off. So you can see one of our divisions here. We're easily able to hold them off. Yes, you can literally see it's our divisions here holding. We're holding them no problem. That's not the issue. We're actually killing, probably more than 1,000 Soviets a day, which doesn't sound like a lot, but if you think about that in real world terms, that's ridiculous. So yeah, what we're going to do is we're going to wait. We're just going to continuously allow them to attack us, and then we're going to counter push and hope for the best. So we've started our counter push, and as you can see, it's kind of a mixed bag. We've got like what, 10 or so attacks here, and we're winning probably about half, just under half. So it's going to be very, very costly for us. But we're fighting the Soviets. We don't really have a choice. It's kind of what we just have to do. So we've actually managed to push out a little bit. We're still mainly trying to get back our core territory, but here in the south, not only have we claimed this province, which originally was part of Poland, but now we've claimed a bit of. This one little province here is actually part of the Soviet Union. So we have one tile of one province that's part of the Soviet Union. It might actually be part of former Poland or Belarus, not 100%. Yeah, I think it might actually be Poland. But, whatever. We've actually pushed out and we've now got it. So yeah, we're holding all of their attacks, although I'm not sure how much of that is the Axis. Yeah, looks like it's mainly the Axis holding. But, that's fine. We've got full air superiority, which is good. It looks like the Soviets mainly pulled out. In 13 days, because we rushed the tech, we'll get an additional 5% core manpower. And hopefully, that means we'll be able to actually start pumping out small divisions, despite the fact we have very little supply. We have survived. We're not going to fall anytime soon, but it has come at a huge cost. We've lost nearly 400,000 men, as opposed to only taking out 600,000 of theirs. Not a good ratio at all. So there we go. We've actually gone and got human wave offensive, which means we're now getting an additional 5% manpower, which means we're only on service by requirement, which gives us 10%. However, because we have militarism and human wave offensive, that will actually bump us up to 22%, which doubles our manpower, which is great. Really need it. We've got 4.9% core pop at the moment, which is less than ideal. We should overall get up to about 6 when we get our last territories left, plus we have this little one down here. If we had Memel, that would be even better as well. We get an extra 100,000, which isn't much, but, that would still be like 30,000 men, something like that. And while we're here, we might as well get guerrilla warfare. Yep, they're still just launching a human wave against us. Not really sure what their strategy is. Kind of just hoping to bleed them dry, to be honest. They've lost 3 million men. That's nothing to the Soviets, is it? Yeah, not so much. So we're actually going on a counter-offensive, and we're actually gaining a little bit of land. So I'm just going to keep up the momentum. Again, it's very costly to push into them. We lose a lot of manpower and supplies we do not have. But we do seem to have the momentum and the initiative on our side, so we're going to keep going. So I'm not really sure what kind of substances our commanders have been handing out recently, but our troops are going absolutely ham on the Soviets, and we're really pushing out into their, well, not their core territory, because that's, Moscow, but yeah, we're starting to really push into their territory. So, it's going really well. I don't know how much of it is us and how much of it is the Germans, but we're definitely pushing. Again, very costly, but we're doing it. So most of our attacks now are starting to fail. We've taken this little province down here, but yeah, up here we're starting to lose all of our attacks. I'm just going to tell these guys to stop. Yep, so I think that's where we'll end our little counter-offensive, allow our men to regroup. And yeah, we've actually gained a nice little bit of land here. It's a shame the Germans wanted to take this little province here, but what can you do? So if the Soviets continue the way they're going, we might actually start to drain them of manpower. They're just relentlessly pushing into us. Like I expected a human wave offensive, but it's getting a little bit much now. We've captured 1,000 rifles from them this month alone. That's how many men they're throwing at us, that we've captured 1,000 rifles already. Jesus. I mean, just look at this. Like, they're just launching at us at every single tile, and every single fight we're winning. They're just burning through their manpower. Like, I mean, they have a ridiculous amount. So they've just finished their human wave offensive into us, and so because of that, all their units are now low org. So I'm going to push all my units out to them and hopefully take advantage of the fact that their units should be quite low org. So we gained a little bit of ground overall, not a huge amount, but you know, baby steps. We've nearly reclaimed all of the land that originally is ours in the north, and actually in the south we are now actually starting to push into actual Soviet territory, not Polish but actual Soviet territory. Modern day Belarus, but you know, they were part of the Soviet Union. Yeah, we're still missing some factories, but we're getting there. If we were able to take this port and then take this province down here, all of these divisions would be encircled and it would be amazing, but I just don't think it's going to be possible. We really need to do improved working conditions as well, because we have very low stability, but it isn't popping up. So that's not something you see every day. The United States have actually navally invaded Japan and taken their capital. In 1942, no less. Japan still has a very good navy, or a very large navy. I don't know how good it is, but they still have a very large navy as well. So I'm not quite sure how any of this has happened. That's weird. I mean, I will say it is 1942 and Japan still hasn't finished off China. They are somehow still just about holding on. They're literally 99% capitulated. And I don't know how they're holding on, but they are. So it's 1942, and somehow only now is the Axis taking out Yugoslavia. Normally that happens around 1940, 1941 latest. But Yugoslavia has actually just sat there, neutral, not in a faction this entire game, and just chilled, just relaxed. And now eventually, Hungary demanded a bit of Yugoslavia. Yugoslavia said no, and Hungary declared war on Yugoslavia. So now Yugoslavia's joined the Allies, and I don't know how. You'd think Yugoslavia would have taken this time to prepare, but yeah, it doesn't look good for them at the moment. They're not winning a single battle, so it's not great for them. Greece probably isn't going to do much better. They've somehow taken Albania. I'm not really sure how they ended up with that. But Greece has now been declared war on as well, so they'll probably fall as well. And then you'll end up with a very thick axis, because they'll have finally they'll have all of Europe. Over here on the eastern front, things are actually going rather well. We nearly had a little encirclement down here, but our line was just getting too thin. The supplies are so bad that you struggle to get as many men in as you need. So we've managed to push out into the south a little bit. The north, not as much. We still haven't reclaimed all of our core territory. However, we do have 70% ownership of this bit here, which is our last bit of core territory that we need. So we've effectively got ownership of all of our core territory. We just don't have 100% of all the tiles. So now, actually, our manpower, we have 6.1 core manpower. 6.1 million core manpower. And the reason for that is because we formed the Baltic Union, and then we've got this little tile down here. Where is it? This one. That's actually part of Poland at the start of the game. We're missing Memel. If we could get Memel, then we'd be whole. But I don't see that happening anytime soon. Not with it being part of the Axis. And so we're just withstanding. Like at the moment, I don't have the factories to build any kind of units that could push into their line. So we're just holding against them for as long as we can, waiting for their attacks to end, and then counter-attacking. And it's going okay, very slow, but okay. In the last 12 months, we've actually captured 7,000 infantry equipment and 200 artillery, a little bit of support equipment, a little bit of anti-tank, a little bit motorized. We've actually captured 162 light tanks. So, not a lot, but we're 2,000 infantry rifles in the hole, so capturing 7,000 Soviet rifles, that's actually, in the last year alone, that's actually really helped us quite significantly. I would imagine without those 7,000 rifles, we would be much further in the hole in regards to infantry equipment. And even, we're only making the basic weapons because we couldn't afford to upgrade anyway. So I think we'll probably end it off there for today. It looks like we are losing an attack here. Do you want to just quickly send some guys in to reinforce that? Yeah, so we're withstanding the Soviet attacks. In terms of manpower, we've lost 500,000 men, which that's a lot considering our core population is so low. But the Soviets have lost 5 million. We've taken out 1.2, so we've maintained a ratio of about 2 to 1. That's nowhere near enough for the Soviets to capitulate or run out of manpower. They've still got 10 million in the bank, which, that's just it's a ridiculous amount of men. Cool, so I think that's where we're going to end it off for today. So I thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Not as successful as I would have hoped, but, we've gone from being about to capitulate to having nearly all of our own territory back. Plus, we've actually managed to push out a little bit down here. We've got all of our factories back, plus 3 civilian factories from the Soviet Union. So we're not doing great industrial-wise. I'm actually working on getting our supply up a little bit at the moment. So as always, I thank you all so much for watching. If you have any suggestions, let me know down below. Thanks for watching. See you next time.